Well, hi everyone. My name is Andy Asher, and you're watching the Let's Talk Variety Show.
Hi everyone, I'm Laura Leone, and I really love true crime stories, Andy. And actually, one of the best crime writers that I got hooked on is a really amazing person. His name is Dr. Marc Hirsch, and he has a really long, amazing career as a doctor, but he's also a novelist.
And he has a whole host of different novels that he's written.
Definitely, and I read all 4 of them on audiobooks, and he's writing his 5th one now. Highly recommend them, very entertaining.
Well, I've always been told, this is by editors and publishers, they tell me, write about what you know. So when I spoke to Dr. Hirsch, he told me that he grew up in New York City in the 1950s, and his family was not wealthy. They lived in a gritty, tough part of town, and that his backdrop is where the novels begin. Listen to what he says.
Every book I write has a piece of my life or my father's life or something like that. That's kind of the centerpiece of the story.
His interview is coming up in a moment. As a journalist, I cover a lot of true crime stories. True crime is often better than fiction, as they say. And for me, the most bizarre true story I covered was about a grandmotherly landlord who was renting out rooms to retired men on Social Security, and it was discovered she was poisoning them. When they died, she buried them in her backyard and then went on to live off their Social Security money. Her name was Dorothy Puente. Now don't forget to subscribe.
Yeah, definitely, Andy. And you know what? The other day, the true crime story of Natalie Holloway's disappearance was finally solved. And actually, I did follow that one a while back. And, it's a really sad story. And no body was ever found or confirmed after 18 years now. And her disappearance was, a big international thing, which I actually remember. And, with live reports and, with Aruba and Island and, the trip and, as a young person. It was, the killer that, we all thought it was, and it's kind of unfortunate, but it's a good thing that the mother has closure now.
Well, today I can tell you with certainty that after 18 years, Natalie's case, it's solved. As far as I'm concerned, it's over. It's over. Joran van der Sloot is no longer the suspect in my daughter's murder. He is the killer.
And actually, Natalie's disappearance spawned countless books, podcasts, movies, and which should bring awareness out there. And that's it's an interesting story, and I'm just glad that her mom again has some closure there. I do love true crime. I actually worked on criminal cases myself in my office job and office work, but I also have a new author named Tracy James. She just published a book with my business, and it's called The Truth Hurts, Education of an Empath on Amazon, and it hit a Kindle new bestseller. So please check that out.
Well, now taking a look at our supermarket tabloid segment this week, Taylor Swift being featured again on People magazine. The Eras Tour concert film came out this month. Hordes of Swifties flocked to theaters upon the release of the Eras Tour. It has a $93 million opening weekend box office. That's the highest ever for a concert film.
This has been the most extraordinary experience of my entire life.
Finally, everyone is going to see a version of the tour that so many couldn't thanks to unprecedented demand.
And the National Examiner has a big headline story about legendary singer Chris Christopherson, who is 87. And the headline actually says, "Brave Last Days," suggesting that he's dying. However, he actually is alive and retired in Hawaii. In April, he paid a surprise experience to none other than Willie Nelson at his 90th birthday celebration. And here is the clip.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
actually, Andy, it has been rumored that Chris Offerson was ailing from Alzheimer's, okay? And he was actually diagnosed as recovering from Lyme's disease. So he seems to be okay.
Well, a couple of months back, Laura introduced me to historical detective fiction writer Marc Hirsch. Now, don't be misled. He was a medical doctor before retiring in 2011 to become an author, and he grew up in New York City. Now, the backdrop of his novels is in New York City, and the central character is Alice White, a young woman who's juggling academics and a career. But what makes her stand out is the way that she solves crime. She is always fighting crime with determination, strength, and intellect. Here's my talk with doctor and writer Marc Hirsch. Authors are often told to write about something that you know about. And my first thought, well, you've been a doctor and all, you know about that. But now as I hear more about you, you also know a lot about living life in kind of the rough times of New York.
Yeah, every book I write has a piece of my life or my father's life or something like that. That's kind of the centerpiece of the story.
I always have the impression that as a fiction writer, you still have to do a lot of research. Was that the case for you?
My favorite thing, but I didn't discover it with the first book. But I got wise real quick because it's such an opportunity to talk to interesting people.
Now, for others who have dreamed about writing a book, because a lot of people, when they reach maybe 50 on up, that starts getting into their head a little bit. What might you say for those who don't know where to start or have something holding them back? Okay.
This is Libby Hawker, L-I-B-B-I-E, Hawker, H-A-W-K-E-R. Take off your pants. And
let me see that again. Can you show it up?
Yeah, it's an abridged version of another book, which I'll show you in a second.
Okay. Good.
Okay.
Right.
It's an abridged version of this guy, who is I think he's a screenwriter, but this is the book that book is based on. It's very detailed though, and I preferred to use this to start with. And this fifth book is called The Case of the Little Island in the Pacific, from the song by the same name. An Occasional Man was the name of the song. A little island in the Pacific.
So you've gotten pretty deep into this profession, and like I've heard from other authors, you've discovered there's more to it than just writing. It becomes more complex. What's that been like? Well,
if you're going to sell it, you want it to be readable, and you don't want lots of spelling errors, and you don't want, you need a professional editor is what I'm saying. If you're going to do right by your readers and ask them to pay some money, that's one thing. And the second is a professional book cover artist, and my book cover artist is also the narrator of my audiobooks. Because I'm partial to audiobooks. I have people who drive trucks or whatever, and they can't sit down with a book. So I made a book an audio book of all four of my books that are published, and the same with an e-reader of all four of the books in an e-book. And then every individual book has its own paperback and its own audio book. And
so you've had to learn a lot about marketing and even publishing, haven't you?
I have. I really have, and I had some help. Another author who's also into marketing in general, and he got me started. That store is on a thing called Shopify, which is my store, and it has room for you to write comments and even review the books. And And so that, and also a newsletter. So I have over 1,000 people that more than once a week, I send them notes about things that are happening in my life or things that have happened that I thought they might be interested in. And I got some great reviews. I mean, I almost wonder how did that happen? 5-star reviews. And I don't think I would have known I had ever gotten one 5-star review if I hadn't been interested in marketing my books. And that's because Amazon doesn't really pay an awful lot of the sale price. Mm-hmm. But when I do it myself, I get most of the sale price in cash. So I collected testimonials. And where did I collect them from? Is Amazon. And I said, holy mackerel, this bunch of 5-star reviews here. These people really like what I'm doing. And then people started reaching out to me.
How long did all that take? What was it?
It took, it really didn't take long. I decided to do this at the beginning of COVID. So that's 2020. And within a year, less than a year, I was already seeing these 5-star reviews, which I would have been ignorant of if I hadn't looked to see. I needed somebody to say something good about my books to put in my advertising. But I ended up spending way more money on my advertising than I was making on the sale of the books. So I had to shut down a big part of my machine.
Can you talk a little bit about the financial returns on something like this?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to spend some money. Maybe not as much as I ended up spending for a while, but then I stopped that myself. And you're not going to, you can sit and make a few $100s with your paperbacks sitting at a table, because there's ways to get them printed as paperbacks, and so that cost can be relatively small. And you can ask for, I think I asked for $10, $20, depends on the book. But like that, it's not a way, unless you really are in certain genres like romance and religious types of books. There's religious romance like that, military romance. I mean, there's a woman who taught me a lot, who's a writer for television, series TV, and the best thing she told me was write every single day. Even if it's only 5 words. And so, and then I started raising the number of words a day to, 50 and so on, a day, and just 7 days a week. And I don't pass the computer without turning it on. And now that I'm into the drafts, the later drafts, I just wanted to sing. If I don't cry at least once during the book, it's not gonna do it for me. I need emotion, and laugh, but mostly the crying.
Now, his novels can be described as captivating, fun, and intriguing. You can buy his novels and find out more at marchirsch.com. So that is a wrap for this week. Before we go, we have to remind you about subscribing. It benefits you and us at the Let's Talk Variety Show.
And first, we always love to provide you with great content. One way we can do that is by having you subscribe and then click on the little notification bell, and you'll be notified every Tuesday when we upload a new show and go live. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and talk about it with your friends and subscribe. It's great having you here today. Have a great week.